Hey, everybody, how are you? Um, Make sure this is going live. Hey, everybody, how are you? This is Ramon coming to you live. Once again, super excited to talk to you guys on today. I know it's a Friday night. Some of you guys are starting to transition back into work. Some of you guys are still quarantined. Some of you guys are slowly easing back into getting out of the normal, getting out of isolation. And some of you guys are going to be in isolation for a while. I know for a lot of the people I'm talking to, they're going to be in quarantine for at least another few weeks at the minimum. So I know some of you guys are already out. Some of you guys are getting started. So yeah, it's very interesting out there. But hey, if you guys are on, shoot me some hearts, shoot me some likes, shoot me some haze. If you're not, then shoot it on a replay of this video when you guys are watching it. I'm really excited to talk to you guys on today. So I'm not going to waste your time. I'm going to get right into it. I know there's a lot of people right now that they're transitioning from where they were to where they're going. And I think a lot of people in this time took these few weeks or months or 2 months or 3 months or however long you've kind of been isolated, and you guys have taken the time to start building or growing your brand. I know so many people who started writing books. I know a lot of people who started creating coaching programs. I know some of you all may have started developing a product or a podcast. But some of you guys were very productive during this quarantine. Some of you guys already had businesses and you just did more to actually increase and grow your business during the last month of April and much of March while you were at home, while you were working from home, and while you were doing a lot of things by at home. And I know because of that, a lot of people are wondering, man, I started so many new things, I created new things. How do I maintain or manage those things moving forward? So I want to make sure I got on here very quickly as part of one of our challenge videos. And I wanted to give you guys 4 ways that you can grow your brand while working a job. For those of you guys who are working full time and you're trying to figure out, man, all these new things have happened and I'm really excited to continue doing what I've started, but I have no idea how to maintain it. I want to give you guys some really good tips on how to do that. They're going to be very practical and they're going to be very solution based. And as always, if you guys have questions after I'm done with this, let me know. Shoot a question in the comments or send me a message and I will be happy to answer those questions. So let's get started. 4 ways that you can grow your brand while working your job, right? And so the first thing I want to talk about is you want to identify your brand goals, right? If you don't have a goal for where you want your brand to go, whether that's a podcast, whether that's a book, whether that is I know some of you guys have a beauty and fashion business, whether you're, selling your services to someone, if there's a service you created where you're doing training, like fitness training or coaching or something like that. But you want to identify, okay, by the end of this year or by the end of this month, what do I want my goals to be, right? Because when you create goals for your brand, it really does make a difference on how you actually can accomplish those goals, right? Anything that can't be measured can't be sustained. And one of the things that I want to encourage all of us to do is to set measurable goals for what you want to do with your brand. I know for me specifically, I want to increase and grow my coaching clientele, right? So I am actively right now working on what those goals look like for my coaching and my speaking and creating things for that. I already have a plan for my speaking that I'm working on right now. And I'm also working on and going to be working on some coaching planning for what my goals are going to be with that, right? But you want to identify what are your specific goals when it comes to your particular business. You want to make sure, like I talked about in the first session, they're measurable, that there's a numerical number associated with them where you know exactly how long or how much you want to make or how many clients you want to have. But you want to make sure that you're specific enough and they're measurable enough where you know exactly, man, here's the goal I want to accomplish and here's how I want to get to that goal, right? So it's the first thing I want to say. some things when I usually start with a coaching client, what I typically do is I have them to map out a few different kinds of goals. Number one, not only how much they want to make, everyone kind of can say that, but also what kind of impact they want to make as well. We talk about that when I talk to my clients, like specifically measuring who's their audience, who do you want to reach, what kind of impact do you want to make on the lives of the people you're working with? What if you're making a product? How do you want that product to impact people's lives, right? If you are working on something like a new tech device or a new digital device or an app or something like that, how many people do you want downloading that? What kind of solutions do you want that to provide for people? And so that's the first thing we talk about is, number one, who do you want this particular product or service to impact? The second thing I talked to them about measuring, right, is how long do they want to take to get there, right? So it's one thing to know how much you want to make and who do you want to impact, but how long do you want it to take to get there? Because typically what we can do from that number is we can reverse engineer that number and then backtrack and identify, okay, here's what you're going to need to do to get there. And I would encourage you guys to do the same thing. While we still have some time left, while all of us are still quarantined, if you guys are still quarantined right now, take some time and create some measurable goals to kind of help track what you want to do. So when all of this is over with, you will know specifically where you want to head in your brand, okay? The second thing I want to talk to you guys about when it comes to your brand is to build your systems. This is something that's really near and dear to my heart. It's something that I'm working on really hard right now. I have a few things that I'm working on in business about just revamping my systems and actually creating some new systems that I didn't have systems for. Here's the thing, and I always say this, you don't have a business until you have systems, okay? And I want to say that very clearly. You don't really have a brand or business until you have systems. When you go into a fast food restaurant, for example, and you order off the menu, there's an entire system put in place to ensure from the moment you walk in, actually, no, before you walk into that business, there's a system in place to even get you in that business, right? And so there's a system for marketing and advertising to get you in there. There's a certain amount of ads that a fast food restaurant runs. There's a certain amount of social media posting they do. There's a certain amount of direct mail that you get. They've already pre-created and pre-designed, right? A tiered system, a layered system that they've invested millions of dollars into to get you into their brand and get you into their culture, to get you into their ecosystem. And so that's the first thing. The second system outside of their marketing is how once we get you to us, how are we going to get you to buy from us, right? And so using that fast food example, right? Once you walk into a fast food restaurant, the first thing you're going to do is smell, right? Or once you drive up to that drive-through, the first thing you're going to do is smell. They've strategically positioned, right, the way they cook their food and how the ventilation system works to get your appetite compelled to getting excited about whatever you're going to eat before you get there, right? A lot of those things that we think, oh man, this is cool, that is strategically placed. There's a reason why the grill is in a certain place. There's a reason why you can see certain things in the kitchen at a certain place. There's a reason why certain restaurants position their staff and they lay out their kitchen and their back in a certain way, because it's all systematically not only helping to get your food, but it's systematically compelling you to want to buy something when you go in there as well, right? The third thing they work on, right, once they've gotten you in there, right, and once they kind of drawn you into it, is the system for their menu, right? And there's a whole study on this. There's a lot of research and psychology behind this, but even the way menus are set up plays to your psychology, from the pictures they use to the pricing structure they use. It is all a form of psychological advertising they use in order to not only get you into the restaurant, to draw you to what you want, but to draw you to be hungry, and then to draw your eyes to what you want to eat, and then make it easier for you to purchase that, right? But then it gets even better. Once you've said what you wanted, there's a system to get you to buy more as well, right? And then even after you're done, there's a system to get you back there, right? It's called loyalty programs. Hey, do you want to sign up for our loyalty program? Hey, do you want to sign up for this particular card? Hey, do you want to sign up for this these points, right? There are systems in place to not only get you into the restaurant, to not only compel you to buy, to actually not only get you to buy more while you're there, but to also get you to rebuy after you've come from there. Because of this whole quarantine season, my wife and I, we did a few takeout meals. In 2 restaurants we went to, they actually one gave us a brownie that we didn't eat, but they gave us a brownie as a thank you for eating during this time. And then another restaurant gave us a $10 gift card to come back, right? Again, because of the way that this system has been set up and the way a lot of restaurants are struggling right now, they're trying to find ways to get people to come back, right? Now, that's as simple as a fast food restaurant. If they understand the power of systems for a $5 hamburger or a $10 meal, right? Then how much more should you understand the power of systems when it comes to your brand, right? And I say this not because it's like I'm perfect at it, but I say this because this is something I'm actively working on, right? I have an onboarding system for my clients. Hey, Ariel, happy to see you. I have an onboarding system for my clients, right? When someone says, hey, Ramon, I want to talk to you, I have a system from the moment they contact me to the moment I onboard them to the moment I'm working with them. I've already created a system for those clients, right? So when it comes to you, you want to have a system for your brand, right? The thing I've learned is that when you have a system for your brand, especially while you're working, because here's the thing, while you're working, there's going to always be something like fighting for your attention, especially during this season. There's always things fighting for your attention, right? There's going to always be people. There's going to always be coworkers or employees or even your own personal life. There's going to be always things fighting for your attention. And some of those things are very, very important. They deserve priority, right? Because so many things are fighting for your attention, when you have a system in place to grow your brand, it makes it easier to manage your brand while you're growing your brand, right? And so one of the things I would encourage you all to do while you have maybe some of you, I know I don't have a lot of time, but while you have a little bit more time, right, to create a system, okay, for growing your brand, create a system for your onboarding, create a system for reselling people, create a system for building and growing your brand. The more you can create a system for your brand, the easier it's going to become to manage it. And some of you guys may be like, well, Ramon, I can't create a system for my brand right now because I don't have time to. Well, some of you guys got to do a reset like I'm doing. You got to create a system for your time, right? If you can't create it, if you don't have the time to create a system for your brand, then we got to first of all do a system for our time so that we can have a system for our brand. So what that means is maybe 2 days a week you schedule what's important to you. Here's the days of the week I'm going to work on this, and these are the days of the week I am literally in the process of redoing that right now because all of my business and everything that I've been doing has kind of all meshed together lately. And I'm like, okay, this cannot be the case for the rest of this month of May. So I got to reset this whole thing to make it easier and to also make sure I'm managing what I'm doing more effectively. So I'm not saying anything that I'm not working on myself, guys. I want you guys to be aware of that. All right. So first thing I told you guys is that you want to identify your goals within your brand, right? Like, what are your goals you want to accomplish? The second thing is I want you guys to build your systems when it comes to your brand, okay? The third thing I want to say is find your partners. These are the people who are going to work with you in growing your brand. This year has been game-changing with partnerships. This has been the first year that I really focused on, and the Lord actually gave me some really strong partners that can help me in my brand, right? And so it's been able to increase the amount of things that I could do, right? Because I have a few people in my life, well, maybe one that's in my life that can really help me to grow more of what I'm doing. And when you find your partners, when you find your team, find the people who can support you and help you, it increases your capacity for what you can do for your brand as well, right? So the thing is, when you have the right partners in your brand, right? And these aren't just your friends; these are people who are uniquely gifted in a certain area that fill a gap that you have when it comes to building your brand. When you have the right team around you, right, it increases your capacity to do more. Every single person I've worked with who's had a team has done far more than those who didn't have a team. But it takes time to do that because it takes time to find the right people to build your team. And so my encouragement to you guys is that a lot of people say, well, where do I go find my teammates, right? If I want to build a brand, where do I find my team, right? Well, I always tell people the first thing you don't do is you don't go look at it. You don't go look for them. Like I haven't like aggressively looked for a team, right? Right. I've had opportunities where people have asked me to work with me and to support me based on the things that I've been doing. And I've had in certain things, like when I did my conference, I had a team for the conference, I had a team for different projects, right? But I know specifically there are certain systems I want to have in place before I bring a team member. Because what happens is we want someone to, and I'm learning this even myself, we want somebody to tell us what we need to do, or we want somebody to just do what we feel, right? Like, well, I need help, so I want somebody to just do it for me, right? What I realize is that having a team means you have a system to support a team. Again, having a team for your brand means you have a system to support that team. When you don't have the system to support the team, then your team is going to feel like they don't know what not going to have anything to do. They're going to feel not worthless, not going to feel productive because they don't know what you need help on, right? And so my recommendations to people is that before you add a team member to your team, make sure your systems are solid. Make sure you have a way of training them on what you do. And this is something I'm learning too. If everything you know or everything that you do in your company is in your head, then it's going to be really hard to get a team member to help you do it because there's not a system around how you do what you do. You got to get out of your head. You got to get it on paper. You got to get it structured. And when you do that, it's a lot easier to bring someone on, right? And so I would encourage you guys, my challenge homework for you this week is going to be, hey, write down your system, right? Like write down your onboarding system, write down your system that's in your head for all the things that you do, create little roles for that, create little systems for that. And then when you bring people on, you'll know exactly where you need your help at, right? And it's something, again, that I'm actively working on as well. I got so many things to get off of my plate, and I can really focus and hone in on this, okay? The last thing I want to say is you want to fire yourself, okay? So after you've identified your goals, you've built your systems, you've found your partners, I want you guys to fire yourself. And what does that mean, Ramon? Not fire yourself from your business, fire yourself from your role. Don't fire yourself from your business, like, yes, your business or your brand. Fire yourself from your role, right? Whatever role you're doing, right? If it's not in growing and building the company, then you're probably doing too much. Again, whatever role you're doing, if it's not in growing and building the company, then you're probably doing too much, okay? So here's the thing. I do right now, because of the nature of what I do a lot of coaching. I do a lot of marketing. I do a lot of branding, do a lot of brand development. I do a lot of that in my business, right? But for someone to do what I do, I got to fire myself. I have to document my entire process. I have to document my IP, which is my strategy, my thoughts, my concepts, right? If I want to train somebody else to coach the way I coach, then my IP, the things that I know that I teach and I train, I have to have all of that documented because it's very difficult to train somebody in what I'm doing, right? If the only person who knows how to do it is me in my head. And so if I'm going to bring someone to help me to scale more faster, then I have to document everything that's in my head, right? And so that's something that I'm not telling you guys anything that I'm not working on. I'm working on my IPO, right? The Lord really challenged me a few months ago is to there's a lot of things that I know, but I need you to document your IPO. I need you to document what are your concepts and the things that you believe so that you can then begin to train other people when it's time on what that stuff is so that I can replicate what I know, that my systems aren't just in my head, right? And I will say the same thing for you guys is you want to fire yourself. The way you fire yourself is, first of all, those systems. You document your IPO, your intellectual property, right? And then you're able to create roles from those systems in the intellectual property that you could then give to other people to do that. Because then there's a training process you can create from that. There's a development process that you can create from that. And there's a scalability process that you can create from that as well. Okay? So that's what I have for you guys today. I hope it blesses you. I hope it helps you. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, let me know. You can put it in the comments on the replay of this video, and I would love to answer them for you. And yeah, you guys having a wonderful evening. We have a huge announcement next week, and so I want to keep you guys aware of that. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.